Get started. I apologize for the delay. There was another meeting in here earlier, so we weren't able to get in here soon enough to get organized. We'll get started. Cody, we all set with the Zoom? All set? Good to go. Okay. I'd like to get started with the Town of Coventry Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, December 17th. It is currently 6:40 p.m. First thing, call to order. Members present, please say aye. Mr. Reyes?
Aye.
Mr. Burke?
Aye.
Mr. Kenny?
Here.
Mr. Studley?
Aye.
Mr. Price?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kalunian is here. That's me. I'll be acting chair tonight because absent are, or excused tonight are Chairman Flynn, Secretary Anderson, and Member Smith. So we have a quorum. The emergency evacuation plan, in the unlikely event of an emergency, you can go out the doors you came in. If for some reason you cannot, there are doors behind us that will eventually lead out through the town offices to the parking lot. At this time, I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have item 5.1, which is approval of the minutes from the Wednesday, November 19th meeting. If folks have had an opportunity to review those, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 19 November.
I'll second it.
I have a motion from Mr. Kenny and a second from Member Reyes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And chair votes aye. Next on the agenda, we have item 6.1, which is a bond reduction for the Oaks at Hope Furnace, D2 Homes LLC.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to be recusing myself from this application.
Okay, let the record show Mr. Studley is recusing himself from this application.
Good evening, Joelle Rocha. Sorry, green. Good evening, Joelle Rocha, attorney for the applicant. We've been here before on a bond release for this project. I'm just going to run through a couple of the relevant facts because I think they're important. Hopefully you have in front of you my August 12th letter. If not, you have December 5th letter, which has the August 12th letter attached because I will reference that. We were here, I believe it was in February, for a bond release on this. That dates back to October of 2024, where early in the month we requested bond reductions. We were told late, I think in November, that there were issues with the phase 1 drainage system. Without disclosing what those issues were, despite repeated requests. At the end, or mid-January, we were placed on the planning board agenda for recommended denial without still having any detail as to what the issues were with the drainage. Also, by way of background, in November of 2023, this project was one of those that your town engineer inspected. He inspected these phases at that time. There's an inspection report. It's attached to all my correspondence, and it deems the drainage system complete, 100% complete. And the bond levels for the drainage portion, which this is all private drainage infrastructure, and I'll get to that point in a minute, were all reduced to the maintenance bond levels at that time. So we asked for continuance at the January meeting because we had no information. You granted that. We were back in February. On January 31st, only because of a public records request, were we given the October 31st memo from the town engineer with a bunch of mostly maintenance issues with respect to the project and a couple pictures. And that's what we received. By that point in February and January 31st, a lot of these items could not be addressed till the spring, if in fact they were issues. The bond release was denied at that point. in February, and August 12th, we wrote again for a bond release, and we went through each and every item that was in that October memo from the town engineer. We attached correspondence information from DePreet Engineering, who had been on site, and the project contractor addressing these items. In October, mid-October, we received a memo from the town engineer, which doesn't appear to have read, referenced, looked at that August 12th letter in correspondence. But what's more striking is it attached a March 2025 Fuss and O'Neill report, which was based on photos from October of 2024, listing some of the same items we addressed in August and recommending to this board that the bond releases be denied. Right now, we're going in circles. We don't know what the outstanding issues are. We've addressed everything that was in the previous memo. But the drainage is all private. As this board knows, you require all private drainage infrastructure. I don't know that there's an authority, and we had this conversation about private infrastructure on another project where there's really no authority to have bonds on those projects. So that's one issue. But the drainage portion of these bonds is about a third. There is $500,000 in bonds related to the rest of the project. The project is fully complete. The top coat of asphalt is down, the bounds are set, and all we have is some required certification going back 2 years when the town engineer inspected that he now requires from our engineer. And there's just no response to what we've been submitting. We requested a meeting before we got to this board to see what the actual issues are. But there's over $800,000 being held, the vast majority of which has nothing to do with these issues. So we're here before you, asking the planning board to release the bonds. That's it.
So we have the town engineer's 3-page report in front of us with things that he's requiring. Are they aware of what those items are?
Yes, they are aware of the engineer's reports.
We responded. Do you have our,
Okay. Anybody, members of the board have any questions or concerns before we take this matter up? I mean, I think we've got one opinion from the town engineer with a recommendation for the town, and then we've got a rebuttal to all the facts. I'm not sure where that puts us, but the matter before us is they're looking for a motion to release the bond.
we have,
And I don't know
Are you looking for a motion, Mr. Chairman, or?
if no one has any questions or concerns beyond that. We have everything that Joelle has submitted. We have, which is quite lengthy. We've vetted this issue at other meetings, and then we have the town engineer's recommendation with his memo to Doug McLean, which hasn't really changed since October.
and there are 3 phases to this project. The engineer's comments are directed at phase 1.
Right.
There's no drainage infrastructure in phase 2.
Right, but I think, just tell me if I'm wrong, with bonds, the concern is that there's got to be enough money to correct whatever hasn't been done, not necessarily what was originally set aside to do the work. Because sometimes the cost to correct can exceed the cost to do the work.
That sounds right, but I guess the issue was bonds were set by phases. I think that's the point. Ms. Roach is making. So I think you have to at least consider that fact.
They were posted at different times and set in phases.
Yeah, I see that, yeah, there's 3 phases, and in every case, he is recommending that we retain the full amount of the bond for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Yes, sir.
Through the chair, I know that Mr. Levesque has considered all of the information that has been presented by the applicant's attorney, and he does consider the phases. He has looked at the different phases. He's looking for information on all of the phases. And you'll note in Mr. Levesque's report, the next step, the outstanding issue we're looking for is information and certifications on the construction of the infrastructure. So he's awaiting that, and because he has not received that, and that is an outstanding request going back to October. It's an outstanding request that still exists today. He has recommended denial until he has that additional information.
There is no reference to any issues in phase 2 and phase 3 and anywhere. He's just recommending flat out denial of the reduction. 1. 2 is this is new in this October request of these certificates of conformance. You guys have heard about these. They weren't a requirement for this project. The project drainage was finished per your engineer 100% he inspected it in November of 2023. And now he wants our engineer to go back in time and certify it.
And that's not possible, not
Well,
feasible.
there weren't inspections done because your town engineer did it. So I don't know what DePrete would certify. They weren't the inspector at that time.
Okay, I think any suggestions? No? Just,
Yeah, I think planning staff certainly supports what the town engineer's recommendation is. The town engineer's recommendation takes into account all of the facts of travel of this application, everything that has been provided to us, and does recommend a denial of the release of the bond as it's stated. And he's certainly aware of the applicant's position that they don't wish to or don't believe they have to certify or bring any consulting engineer to bring additional information. We have a difference of opinion. And on that particular issue, we're looking for additional information. And that's what the engineer's seeking. That information request has been made clear. We haven't seen a response specifically to where that stands and that additional information. So at this point, the engineer is recommending denial.
okay. So if I understand correctly, we have a difference of opinion. He's looking for information. The applicant is saying at this point, they don't think they have to provide it because
Correct.
of the way things were done before.
That's
Okay.
that's a good summary.
We provided the information. No one seems to want to review it. He wants certifications to go back to his inspections. I don't really know. I just, this whole process of how this is going, we can't even get a meeting together on this to even know what the actual issues are. So this is not the way the system's supposed to go, or these bonds. This is not, we hold your money in abeyance. If there's an issue, call the bonds. This is years of holding the bonds. Asking for inspections, not corrections. Asking for inspections, not, but I just want to be clear on that. There's not, that top coat of asphalt is cracked and there's all this stuff and we are saying we won't do it. Call the bond, you'd call the bond in that situation and repair it. But the bonds are for public infrastructure in case the town has to come in and do the work. That's what they're for. They're being used in an entirely different manner lately. And I understand where the board's coming from, but I just need to put that all on the record.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion based on the engineer's report of October 16th and the subsequent report on December 12th after reviewing the applicant's information. I recommend a non-favorable action until the applicant can provide the information the town engineer is looking for to satisfy the bonds.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? And I have a second. Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next item. Okay, the next item on the agenda was 7.1 Dante Real Estate 2, Ty Oak Avenue. This matter will not be heard. Some of the documents, as I understand it, were not submitted in time.
That is correct. Yes, the applicant did not get a chance to mail the notice to abutters within the required time. Unfortunately, our January meeting is already basically the agenda is booked for another matter. So that does mean this application is off till February. They fully understand that. It's really only on the agenda for the purposes of communicating to
Okay.
the public and any interested members. We will renotice that. So we've got time. It will be headed for a meeting at some point, I envision, in February,
So-
and they will all receive notice again.
Likely or possibly February.
I would say likely late
Yep.
February with the concept that I don't want to give a firm date because the project will all receive notice with.
No
what we have
action
from-
required on our part tonight?
Nope, I don't actually think we should continue because we don't have a date certain in
Okay.
mind. It's just a friendly announcement that that matter is heading towards late February for those interested parties.
Okay. Next item, 7.2, Sienna Condominiums. Public hearing on a preliminary plan, major land development comprehensive permit. Stephen Jurzik, Boulder Hill Development LLC for Assessors Plat 45, lots 10, 11, 12, and 13 in the Village Main Street Commercial Zone. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
How are you?
Thomas Cronin, Nolan Bernero, Cronin Farrar, 1070 Main Street, for the applicant. It's a comprehensive permit to build a condominium, which includes affordable housing. So these 2.2 acres are located in the VMC zone on Main Street. They're on between the light at Dave's and South Main Street and Payne Field on the same side of the street as Payne Field, just to give you some idea. Payne Field itself borders on the north near the parking lot and tennis courts. Kenray Drive and residences tucked into that nook there to the west is a residential uses to the east, and south across Main Street is apartment building, and then the Patuxent River. So on this lot, 4 houses built, and 2 of them in the 1800s, 2 of them maybe in the 1900s. They are in the worst condition they could possibly be in. They're in bad conditioning. So those cannot be rehabbed, and they're going to be removed as part of this project. In their place, on the 2.2 acres, we're going to construct 8 duplex structures with 16 units in a condominium. 25% of those units, 4, will be affordable or LMI units. We have a density of 7.27 units per acre. The allowed minimum units per acre is 7 by the state calculation. It's public water, public sewer. It's a regular, other than the affordable piece, regular condominium. So no public services, no trash, plowing, road maintenance to the town. So the private road will be constructed north off of Main Street. When it gets to the middle of the property, it turns left to the west towards Kenray Drive. The private road's going to be a 2-way street, so all traffic is going to enter and exit by this private road. At the town and the fire department's request, we have an emergency access along the western boundary of the project at the end of the condominium road as it abuts Kenray Drive. There were some discussions about making this a through street, a one-way street, but in the end, what made the most sense is the condominium road terminates. We'll put an emergency gate, fire department access, and then there'll be a pass-through to Kenray Drive for emergency vehicles if needed. So after this hearing, if we get a positive result, I will need to go to the town council for an emergency access and utility easement, because between the end of our property where that emergency gate is going to go and the actual roadway of Kenray Drive is a slice of land owned by the town of Coventry. So we're going to get an easement over that road. The thought is that we would only need it if we received a positive result from this board. So, but that'll end up before the town council, and your approval will be contingent on us getting that approval before the town council. So the units are conforming with each other, right? One of the important things about an LMI project is that you can't really figure out which one of the units is the affordable unit, right? They have to fit in, right? So all the units are designed to be 30 feet in height. Each of them will be 1,588 square feet, give or take. And the LMI units will not be visually distinguishable. We have adequate parking, 48 spaces where 32 are required. You'll find a traffic analysis that the client conducted that finds only minor traffic impact here. Obviously, South Main Street is Route 117, a state highway in front of this project. This project fits the comprehensive plan and the housing plan for the comprehensive plan. Those plans call for affordable housing in high-density, mixed-use villages, including specifically the Washington Village where this property is located. The zoning ordinance was recently, well, within the last year, adopted, allowing residential use in the village zone, so that fits. We are asking for waivers. So this is a condominium. Even though it's a comprehensive permit, it's a condominium, so major plan development here. So we're asking for waivers because the private condominium road is not a public street. So we're asking for waivers for road width, street trees, sidewalks. We want to put in asphalt curbs, not concrete curbs. And we want to have overhead utilities rather than underground utilities because the entire area is private. We also are seeking a variance for more than one unit on the parcel. Multifamily design, as you can see, 8 buildings with 16 units. So multifamily is not allowed in any zone in the town of Coventry. So we have to ask for that variance as well, because this is not a PUD, which is how we usually do a condominium here in town. So that's the overview. Tim Bean from Commonwealth Engineers is here to talk about the site design that they've come up with. You could take questions now. You could hear from Tim first and up to the board.
Want to hear from the engineer first, or does someone have a question before they forget? Like, nope. Okay.
Thanks.
Tim's good. Hey, Tim.
Good evening. For the record, Timothy Behan, professional engineer with the firm Commonwealth Engineers and Consultants, Inc., Providence, Rhode Island. I'd like to walk through the site plan, I guess, the existing conditions, if we could throw that up on the screen. I believe it's the next sheet. Yeah, that's showing the existing conditions just to get a feel. You could see Main Street is the road at the bottom of the sheet. On the left, the sheet going up and down, that's Kenray Drive. And our property is situated behind those 3 houses along Main Street in the back there. There's an existing gravel roadway that went into the site. Going through that little dogleg section, there's existing 2 houses along Main Street in that little leg section, and there was several other structures and residences in the back there in the past. The site is predominantly kind of like a lawn back there with some trees along the edges, a stone wall along the northern property between the sports complex and this site, and there's also a stone wall between Kenray Drive and our site as well. The topo goes from the rear of the site down to Main Street, and if you go across the street, there's the river, so everything drains from the high down to the river in that direction. And essentially, that's it for existing conditions. There's no wetlands on the site. If we can go to the next sheet, which would be the proposed site plan. This is showing the layout. So we have our main access coming off Main Street at the bottom of the sheet, coming into the site, and basically it's a T type arrangement. And we have 8 duplex structures in there. They're serviced with public water through Kent County Water. We've received their permit. And it's also serviced with municipal sewer, and we received the authorization for that connection through the town council already. What else do we have? We have coordinated with the fire marshal, and they wanted several lights in the development. We added those, and proper turning radiuses. We coordinated the emergency, the gate between Ken Ray Drive and our development, and road width, et cetera. And lastly, we have DM permit. We're slightly in the wetland jurisdiction, so we filed for that, as well as stormwater and a RIPDES permit for construction activities greater than 1 acre in size. So we meet all the state criteria and the town criteria for stormwater. And all the state permits have been filed for DEM as well as DOT. Main Street's a state roadway, so it needs their review and approval as well.
Was that pending?
That's pending, correct. Essentially, that's it for engineering. If there's any technical questions, I'm here to answer them.
Yes, sir. Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Did you look at the feasibility of sidewalks at all?
We did discuss sidewalk. I think the main intent was to get one from Main Street up into our development. We discussed it with our client, and they really didn't want to go down that road at this point in time.
I had the same thought. I didn't even pick it up in the planning director's
Yeah.
report. We've had similar condominium projects where they go into the private road off of a state road, and the thought was, maybe we should, and that state road didn't have sidewalks. This one has sidewalks, right? We got LMI units,
Yep.
right? We got a bus route, we got Dave's, and yet we're not providing sidewalks. That's my thought. And I'm not saying they have to be concrete. If you've got asphalt berm for curbing,
Yep.
but something to get people out of what is only a 24-foot wide road.
Correct.
That's kind of my thought on that.
I agree with that too.
So I don't know if that makes a difference. I don't know. Does anyone else have any other issues or questions?
That's the only issue I had listed. The only one I had.
Okay, so no more questions. I don't know if it's Mr. Cronin, do you have any? Oh, that's right. Do we have, sorry, Ron usually does this.
No problem.
Do we take public?
We do. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a hearing.
This is a hearing.
So we will
Okay.
take comment on it, and that's probably a good thing right now, unless you have any specific questions for the applicant's team.
Nothing else at this time. Why don't we go to public hearing?
Thank you.
Do we have to
Thank
make
you.
a motion to open that?
Generally, it is kind of good practice on your first hearing to take a motion to open public comment. This is a formal
Motion to
hearing.
open public hearing on this issue, this item?
I'll make a motion to open public
I
hearing.
have I have a motion from Mr. Reyes to open public hearing and a second from Mr. Kenny. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none? Okay. If anyone would like to speak for or against this application, just raise your hand. I saw your hand go up over there, so I'll start on this side and work over. Come on up, sir. Come up to the microphone. You just have to give us your name and address for the stenographer, please. Yeah, you can pull the mic right down and just make sure the green light is on.
Hi, my name's Peter Botella. There we are, 1193 Main Street, less than 100 feet away from the proposed site. Okay, I come here in opposition to the project in lieu of what I wrote to Dennis today in a letter. And I'll read it to you because he asked me to read it first. The Jershwick Court Preservation Project. Dear Dennis and interested parties, the town of Coventry, which is known to be the largest in the United States by land holding size, is in jeopardy of losing a historic landmark at Jershwick Court. The bookend to Newell Court, which was built by George Newell in 1760, as I understand it, has a Polish colonial heritage, if not in name only, for Jershwick means Little George in English. I did a little research on this. They're a very prominent family too, by the way, in Eastern Europe. You wouldn't have known that because I had met Gail and I had met Dennis in my 8 years of living on Main Street. And you wouldn't have known them to have any kind of money, although she was a teacher of physics and he a machinist, as I understand it. So I had conversation with them from time to time, as now I'm at the age of retirement and get to count the flowers and smell the flowers and do the things you do as you enjoy the history and hopefully learn from the past mistakes. Okay, so I'm hopeful that a mistake isn't made, that we lose something here without doing due diligence. And that's my point of being here today. So to continue, I'm requesting the delayed decision on the condominium development at the Main Street site until accurate information can be presented by the Coventry Historical Society. A minor delay may enlighten us all as we approach our nation's 250th anniversary. And that's why I came here tonight. We need to do a further study, I think, rather than squeeze something in there. Now, I walked the site today and I took a lot of photos. Those foundations are sound, as far as sound can be, because the house was built in 1760 that we dwell in. And on the websites, I look around and fireplaces on Harris side of Main Street on Harris, they presented a fireplace and they said it was the best yet. Well, you should see the fireplace, mantle, et cetera, and bread ovens that we've preserved inside the house, the small house that we dwell in. And yet it's there. It's capped off. It's not used as a fireplace, but the history is there. If you tear it down and you don't reconstruct, then what are we going to hand to the next generation some 34 years away as we approach 2026? We're headed to 2060. Now, we're talking 1760, we're talking 1860, we're talking 1960, and then 2060. All of these historical dates stand as a reminder of the great moments in our nation's history. And Coventry, Washington Village, is by far, in its own right, a silent volume speaking entity. I went to Cloud House, which is in Warwick, the Cloud House Museum, just recently, as in like last week. And I noticed for the first time, now I've lived in Rhode Island all my life. I'm 65 years old, but we tend not to see what's right under our own nose, sometimes. And I went there and I said, I'm amazed. Now this is Slater, right? This is Samuel Slater's ancestry. They built this house. And yet you go to the line, right, to the East Greenwich line and to the Warwick line, and you go to Cloud House, and this is a building where they have George Washington's portrait in one of the rooms. They have, he was the founder, Samuel Slater, the founder of this Industrial Revolution in America. Now here we are in the textile hub, and we're in word, if not only, paying homage to the fact that we had a hand in the textile industry with all the rivers of the Patuxent. And yet right here down the street, I was going to open it up with saying I came here with great pains, all the way from Payne House to Payne Field, and I'm seeking the words of Thomas Paine, common sense. I think we need to have a study. I think it needs to be postponed until you look at the land. And in real estate, as I understand it by my studies in real estate and real estate law, it is functional utility. A land has functional utility. It must be best served to its maximum functional utility. And in the case of the public, I'm here to speak for the public because I'm a citizen here in Coventry. And I think they should have a voice and know what they might lose. The opportunity cost in economics. We learn we do not want another Weimar Republic, although we're headed in that direction. The hyperinflation is in the real estate market. We don't have a housing crisis, we have an affordability crisis. I think that is my point. And so thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this application or item on tonight's agenda? I don't see anybody else. Anybody on Zoom? Cody, anybody have their hand up? No hands raised. Okay, so do I close public hearing? I have Mr.
You certainly could close public hearing if you'd like, or you could leave it open at this point if we don't anticipate additional comments.
Yeah, I don't. Mr. Cronin, do you wish to respond to that? I know, and it's referenced in the report. I think it was at the early stage in this project when we got a little feel. There was the town did request at least an examination to see what could be done to preserve at least one existing dwelling on that property that I recall. I don't know what else exists up in the back, but maybe you could just address that gentleman's thoughts with regard to the historical significance or, again,
I don't have any thoughts as to the historical significance of this property. The owner of it, Mr. Jerzik himself, placed it on the market. It's available for sale. My client is entered into an agreement to purchase this property. We did consider the possibility of retaining one of those front houses, although not the actual house, because the building inspector is fairly clear that that wasn't going to be salvaged, but to build one like it. But we couldn't do it because of the drainage that Mr. Bean mentioned running from the back of the property through the front. So that was a simple discussion with the town. I mean, it's tough to talk about the historical value of it when you can't get the apartment building across the street to close the gates to their dumpster. No, I don't. So I don't have a response.
No. I just wanted to make sure this property is not a candidate for any historical preservation that we're aware of. It's not, is this still in the Washington Village Historic District, or is this is?
Well, and to be clear, there's two types of historic districts.
Yeah.
This is certainly not in a local zoning district in which there would be regulatory restrictions. Even if there were, this process of the comprehensive permit that they're choosing would allow them to seek waivers, but there's no waivers from any historic issues, protections, or regulations. I also, talking to my staff, I don't believe that this property finds itself in a National Register district either. So although the Washington Village area certainly has some properties that are in a National Register, to our knowledge, I don't believe this property is in the National Register. That's not to say the property lacks any historic value, but to the degree that this application needs to seek waivers, it does not need to seek waivers. There was a good faith discussion between staff and the applicant to explore. From my perspective, I think a critical issue was maintaining some sense of streetscape along the Main Street area there. There's two very small houses. They're in really bad shape, and the applicant has offered us information to suggest that they are structurally in need of a lot of help. Those structures were not something that could be worked with, so if anything, it was going to be build something else in its place. We like the concept of having another unit there, a usable house there. The applicant did explore that. This site is challenging from a stormwater perspective, so there were, and that's a low point on the site, so there was a lot of challenges to add a lot of impervious surface there. But I think the applicant, in a good faith effort, did explore that. And then we did require, at least from a streetscape perspective, that the mailbox area, which was going to be located near the street. So if you're driving by the site, you'd kind of look up that new road, Sienna Lane, and you'd see their little mailbox. We said, if we're not going to have a house there, at least we're not interested in having a pull-off for mailboxes. Let's have it a landscaped green area. So our concerns were more related to how does this particular site look from the Main Street area and making sure there's a good streetscape value. That was just I would say, planning's interest was exploring that, and the applicant did. And they came back to us with ultimately that there were so many technical challenges that made it very challenging to do. And then planning, I think planning agreed, this is not a site where we felt like we needed a hard and fast line of mandating the relocation of units there. I mean, the gentleman's concept that you should delay the vote, to me, I'm not sure what level of information would alter the course of this commission's review in terms of the proposal that's been in front of you right now. I'm not sure what additional information the commission would find of value to alter what's in front of you now.
My take on that, and I could be wrong, was that he was looking for the historical aspects of the property to be documented before it was demolished, which is something that's.
The public hearing is open. It's up to the board.
Sure,
if
you can come
wanna
back up,
continue.
sir. And just keep in mind, you heard the planning director's report. These comprehensive permits, there's a timeline associated with them, and
I do. I also know there's eminent domain and other avenues that you could pursue.
No,
If you
no,
did
we
want to
wouldn't.
pursue, if you did want to pursue in the public interest to preserve a property that did in fact warrant additional opportunities to secure tourism and all of the things that go with that. I'm a forward-looking person, not a person who looks in the rearview mirror all the time. So I can assure you that I've walked the site today and I saw those foundations. I am familiar with that type of construction. I live in it. The basement of the home that we live in is built in 1760 with granite stones. They put time and effort into those. I looked at the foundations. I looked at the outhouse that's still on the property today. I have photos on my phone of every aspect of what was put on the Zoom as well. So I think you should walk it again. I think you should look at it again is what I'm stating. I'm stating that I don't think it should be, if it was to be ripped down. I also went on to Williamsburg, Virginia, and some of those are synthetically reconstructed, and yet everyone goes and knows Williamsburg, Virginia as a colonial site, and they bring in tourism. Granted, that's much larger, but complemented with that, as I said, Payne House, which you can go online now, and you can do a 360 walkthrough. It was Jason Hawes who went through and did a haunted investigation. Well, he did the 360 technology. This is where technology meets history, is what I'm saying. And I'm saying people won't come. They can look online, sure. They won't come to Coventry to go walk it. This is location, location, location. This is GPS. That's my point. And I walked it and I looked at those foundations and they can be reconstructed. We have the technology today
I
to
know,
reconstruct.
but it sounds like the owner of the property has already made a decision to sell it.
Well,
for
I called the
redevelopment.
realtor today. There's still a for sale sign on one of the homes, out in front. And and it's money talks, I think. Isn't that true? Somebody makes a better offer. You get into these competitive bid wars and whatnot. I reached out to the Gershwick family, which is, like I said, they're very prominent. They're one of the wealthiest they own 64% of a telecommunications company. Like I said, you wouldn't have known looking at Gail and Steve that they had money at all. But anyway, it's their namesake. You're changing the name of the street. Not only, it's, question, not in name only. So that was my point. It's not to save it from being, not to tear it down and save the history as a record. You could put that online any day. It's already there. What I'm saying is it's a physical location. It is location, 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 and it is GPS. And as just a simple citizen here in Coventry, it is a request that you take the time and revisit this before you make a decision.
But you have to understand, this board we're here to review applications. We're not the town council. We don't
Okay.
have any jurisdiction to purchase property or use eminent domain to preserve property. We have an application before us.
Right, okay.
And
so
it
then it gets
appears-
to the next
yeah.
process, and then
Yeah.
as it does, obviously, it has merits. You go to some places here in Coventry, it's 2 acres to build a single home. You go to West Greenwich, minimum's 2 acres. So, I mean, you recently did a reconstruct of a possible condemnation on 2 Newell Court. It's 3 foot now off my property line at my home. I watched them build and they went higher. I was like, okay, and that was Trust Construction did that. And this summer, I have photos of all of it, from soup to nuts. They stayed within the footprint. I'll grant them that. It wasn't the best of foundations. It wasn't the best of situations, you know, but I watched it all summer long. Took photos as it progressed. You know, I can squeeze between the fence lines on properties. It's the largest land base here in Coventry. It was considered the largest land base town in the state of, in the United States. Then I guess it became second. Somewhere in Texas, they put one in. I followed it. All right, so they etched us out a little bit. But we're still in the top. We're still a top land base. And yet you're squeezing people where they have to walk by the side. Now, if you go to 2 Newell Court, and I highly recommend that you do and revisit what they just did 6 months ago, as they sided and reconstructed this house that was going to be condemned, which sold like 80,000, then went to 60,000, then was up to 400,000, 500,000 was the asking price, and then it was going to be rented. You have an affordability problem. You don't have a housing crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do you have anything to add, particularly with regard to the sidewalks? Oh, yes, sir.
And just through the chair, from a timing perspective, I think it's worth noting this application was submitted in late November. If we were to, just for practical purposes, if the board was entertaining any concept of a continuance, from a practical perspective, our January meeting is already booked, excuse me, for another matter. That means that this would be heading towards a February meeting. I don't believe that the February meeting is within the 90-day clock. So we're looking at
90-day clock?
the state law 90-day
Yep,
clock.
okay.
So any action to consider, I mean, I'm not suggesting that you don't have the right to explore continuation to other dates, or you don't have the right to explore extensions, but a natural course of action to continue to another available meeting date puts this beyond the 90-day clock. Just practical information for your consideration.
Okay.
Anticipating your question, Mr. Clunian, I don't have authority to agree to the sidewalks from the client. So that's where that stands right now. Obviously, we still have permits outstanding with DEM and DOT. And so we'll be back before the staff for final approval, and things could still be evaluated. But as it stands right now, I don't have authority to agree to that.
I just want to add, we've had a number of these comp permits come in, and I know they very often consider prime candidates to be those properties that are on a bus line, near shopping, and then to use the comprehensive permit process to get the bonus of units, and then not construct a sidewalk to get from the units to 117 where they can walk to Dave's or catch the bus. It just kind of baffles me. It's not, I mean, if there were no sidewalks on 117, or you were 8 miles from the supermarket, but as you said at the opening remarks, it's right down the street from the Dave's shopping plaza with Dunkin' Donuts and everything else. So
Even I can make that walk.
I'm
Even
sorry.
I can make that walk, yeah.
So I don't know, where does that leave us, Mr.
I mean, the commission certainly has options as it relates to consideration of a sidewalk. You know, it was an issue that we discussed as recently as last week at TRC. The staff did ask the applicant to come with an exploration of that issue. I think, one, I'd be interested to hear if there's a hard and fast technical challenge to adding a sidewalk from a stormwater perspective. So I would assume the applicant might have done enough exploration to discuss that. It is possible to consider a sidewalk through a condition of approval that we could consider tonight. And it is possible for us to consider a condition that asks for a sidewalk, but if the applicant's able to demonstrate that it's technically infeasible for stormwater, then staff can react to that at the final plan stage. I don't think we're looking for sidewalks on both sides here. I think it's really just, and I don't think we're looking for sidewalks that necessarily go around the site when you get up to the condos. I think we're just looking for a sidewalk from the main area, which really kind of represents as a parking area, down to Main Street. If the board is interested, we could consider adding a condition of approval to that extent, and allowing the applicant, if they have a demonstration that it's infeasible, to come back to us with that information at final, and staff can then close the loop if needed. I'll ask the commission their pleasure on that one.
So what you're saying is if we feel strongly about the sidewalks tonight, rather than leave it open-ended, we could make that a condition of approval. And if it's demonstrated at a later date that is just not possible, not feasible, they have an opportunity to come back before final and ask us to reconsider.
Actually, I think what we would do is, the concept here is that we have a preliminary plan stage now. The next stage would be final and staff. The condition of approval would be instructive to the applicant to ensure that they either build a sidewalk or demonstrate that it's infeasible. If they demonstrate it's infeasible, then staff would accept that information, and at final plan at a staff level, we would render the complete. You could send it back to yourself, but at a preliminary plan stage, usually final is done administratively.
Right, so I was going to ask that. So you were looking for final to be administratively anyway?
Yeah, on these comp permits, that's part of the statute at this point.
Okay. Okay, so for right now, the planning director's report is accurate.
I do have one addition
Yes,
to the conditions on page 8 of 8, conditions of approval number 2. The town council approval for an easement over the town-owned strip of land on Kenray Drive is going to be for emergency access and utility access.
Okay, no problem there.
utility access, and it's not on Kenray Drive, it's adjacent to Kenray Drive, is that
It's
correct?
between, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just need that in place because I do need to go to the council. So I need to have it lined up.
You've made that, okay. And let me see what else here. We got the administrative subdivision, state and local permit, so that includes right at, okay, that's on there. And then the only thing I think that's not included is that if we make a motion, you would like to have final done administratively.
Thank you.
So we've got the planning director's report with that one amendment. And we go to the subdivision and the waivers where we have number 4, sidewalks.
4 and 8.
Right, 4 and 8. Okay. Does anyone else on the board have any questions for the applicant, for the engineer? I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing, please.
I'll make a motion, close public hearing.
Second the motion.
I have a motion for Mr. Kenny to close public hearing and a second for Mr. Burke. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. And do I have a motion? Now, is this, I was gonna ask, this is down comprehensive permit, major land development, but we do have a zoning variance that was
No,
referenced.
I think that the term variance is probably a bit misstated here. When you've got a comprehensive permit, essentially they get zoning relief. The terms the state law uses is if it's a relief from zoning, they call it an adjustment. If it's a relief from the subregs, they call it a waiver. A variance, there's not a vote on a variance.
Okay,
tonight.
one vote, one motion, we're
One
good.
motion
Thank you.
to consider the project, and if I'll ask the board if you're interested in language on a condition on sidewalk. Staff have prepared one that we just wrote now. If you're interested in hearing it, then you can consider if you want to add that condition to the decision.
I'll leave it up to someone that may be making a motion one way or the other.
Okay, so the motion that the additional condition, let's reference it as condition number 7. The applicant shall construct sidewalks on one side of Sienna Lane from the terminus at Main Street to the area near the nearest unit. Basically, just kind of making sure that it's clear. I don't think I have a preference on whether it's the east side or the west side of the road, unless the board has a preference. I would suggest it is standard, and I have heard the engineer suggest even in private infrastructure, similar types of projects, they do look for concrete sidewalks as opposed to the asphalt. I think that's just something that as a matter of construction standards, the engineer has held. I know we're talking a bit out of school, but I think that standard has been utilized on other projects. I would suggest the standard be a construction of a concrete sidewalk on one side.
Doug, in looking at the project, I would think the sidewalk would be best served on the site on the side where the mailboxes are.
That makes sense to me.
The preference I would.
And if I don't have the site plan in front of me, but I believe that would be the easterly side.
The right-hand side would be
The
the
right, yeah,
easterly
the
side.
easterly side. And so if you're comfortable that we could make that, I don't think from the applicants, I don't know if their feasibility is going to be connected to one side or the other. I think their feasibility is
Well-
largely, they're going to add some impervious. They're going to need to do some calculations and need to demonstrate whether that additional impervious can be captured in
Not to
stormwater.
belabor the point, but they've asked for the waiver on the concrete curbs, so it doesn't make much sense to use asphalt berm and then.
Yeah, and I mean, I truly think that there are lots of areas of this site where it's fine to achieve a waiver in certain areas. So I think that the waivers can stand. The condition of approval would essentially trump the waivers. We're not asking for sidewalks on both sides. It makes sense.
Okay,
that
so
they
the
seek a
section that
sidewalk.
has sidewalks, you're looking for the concrete curb too.
Yeah,
Okay, great. Thank you.
well, I mean, a sidewalk would come with the.
I'll of course note my objection to both the sidewalks and the concrete sidewalks. Thanks.
Fair enough. Tom, I'm actually going to ask the applicant if they have a preference. If you had to pick on a sidewalk design, would you do the sidewalk with a grass strip in between, or would you do it right on the
That's what I was
street?
just going to bring up. I think we'd do a grass strip between the actual
So
roadway.
no
and
curb.
So we get out of the,
Be a factor.
so the curbing would not be a factor.
Okay, and I don't have a problem with that. We're not worried about curbing. We're worried about pedestrian connectivity. So I understand they can still have the right to object, but let's make sure that the design we're looking for is in generally accomplishes what we want without necessarily creating a design constraint on their end.
And not to speak for the entire board, but if my issue was getting folks down to Main Street and
Yeah.
tie it into the sidewalk, whether it's a grass strip or how they get there, that's fine.
Yep.
So,
And so I think with that being said, we would amend the condition to reflect a concrete sidewalk with a grass strip in between, no curbing on the easterly side of Sienna.
okay. I'll
I just wanted to say, the list of waivers, the order is repetitive. I don't know if that's intentional.
Might have to, then Tom, do you want to speak to David's question on the waivers?
I'm looking at the staff report, actually.
Oh, the staff report?
Are we going from the staff report when you make your motion, Mr. Chairman?
Well, occasionally they just reference the staff report, including the, they could reference what's here without reading every single one and then simply note that.
In other words, when you were saying sidewalks were number 4, well, they're number 4 by number, but they're probably number 8 in reality.
Yeah, I know, it's listed twice. That's what we said.
Solicitor, are you basically referring to the fact that the numbers in the staff report, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2, 3, 4, 5?
That's just,
No, I think that was probably a formatting issue on staff's end. I don't think that was trying to capture anything
so
Okay.
when the-
particular.
When the chairman was speaking about the sidewalks being number 4, you were referring to that number right there?
Yeah,
I just want to make sure we're all
Yeah.
talking about the same number.
Yeah, no, I think you're correct.
The actual number 8 often addresses sidewalks, says sidewalks, so.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's not really 8.
right.
It's-
It's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
And I
12.
believe the
There
applicant,
are
I
actually
think,
12,
That's my point.
12, yeah.
Yeah, 12 waivers.
Yeah, yeah.
and I think we, other than the numerology, the applicant might have identified 2 different sections in our subregs that call for sidewalks, and that might be why it was brought up twice.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can address that. So at the TRC meeting, the planning staff requested that we identify all of the waivers that we were requesting. So the engineer did a thorough review of the zoning ordinance and the subdivision regulations and enumerated each of the waivers from those regulations and listed them out. So the comprehensive permit is a little tricky when mixed with the condominium. I mean, we cannot forget that this is a private property. We are not building a public road. We are not building a public sidewalk, right? This is private property. So we requested waiver from all of the public road and public sidewalk standards.
Yep, and that's fine. I think if you have you seen the plan director's report? It's
I have.
just, yeah, it's just for some reason, all of a sudden, the formatting went from 1 to 5, and then it started over again with 2 to 8 instead of continuing on from 6 to 12. So all of the citations from the ordinances and the town regulations are correct. It's the numbers that were assigned in the planning director's report. So what we can do is we can just reference the subdivision and land regulation that are cited for waivers in the report with the exception of 2, and then call them out by article number. That might be the best way to do it.
And for the purposes of the motion, I think you can just acknowledge that all the waivers that have been requested on the matter are incorporated into your ultimate decision on it. And this is a case where I don't think you need, the waivers have been called out. It would be onerous for you to read those out as part of a motion. And I do think we feel comfortable that we've gotten what the applicant has offered as a comprehensive list of waivers. And I would note, even if we wish for a sidewalk, that doesn't actually mean that we shouldn't consider a waiver. Again, one, the applicant might come back and say it's infeasible, in which we want to make sure your record is clear. And also, there are areas of the site that are still not going to get a sidewalk, so it makes sense across the entire site that we're considering that waiver. I think the condition of approval we're considering would, in some ways, trump the waiver and ensure we're getting the piece that we're interested in.
So we get the zoning adjustment for the multifamily and then all of the waivers and then the conditions of approval. Does anyone have any questions? Is everybody all set? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for or against.
I'll make a motion. Mr. Chairman. This is the Sienna condominiums. The plan is a comprehensive permit, major land development. We are at the preliminary plan phase. Owner, Stephen Jerzyk. The applicant is Boulder Hill Development LLC. The address is Main Street and Jerzyk Court. Assessors Plat 45, lots 10, 11, 12, and 13. Zone VMC, lot size 2.2 acres. The existing use is 4 single-family dwellings, and the proposed use is 8 two-family dwellings for a total of 16 units. The applicant proposes to construct 8 duplex structures for a total of 16 residential units on approximately 2.2 acres of land as a comprehensive permit. A minimum of 25% of the proposed units will be deed restricted as affordable, and site access is proposed from Main Street. Okay. We have discussed the zoning ordinance, and we are going to allow multifamily dwelling structures, which at this time are not permitted in the Village Main Street zone, and we are going to approve that. The subdivision and land development regulations, the waivers listed in no numerical order. There are 12 of them. We grant the waivers, and I'm going to put emphasis on numbered 4 and 8. But they're really the 8th and 12th waiver I'll discuss in relation to sidewalks. We'll approve all of the waivers listed here. The findings of fact, all of the findings of fact in the staff report are consistent with Rhode Island General Law 4553-4. There are 7 of them. The conditions of approval on page 8 of the staff report. Condition number 2 is amended to read that the applicant shall obtain town council approval for an easement over the town-owned strip of land on Kenray Drive for emergency access and utility access, and submit documentation of such approval with their final plan submission. We've discussed the other conditions of approval. We are going to add condition number 7, that the applicant will design, or rather construct, a concrete sidewalk with no curbing to include a grass strip on the eastern side of the Sienna Sienna Drive?
Yep.
From from Main Street to, should we call it the change in direction? Change in,
First of all, housing.
I think I'd refer it to, at least to the, visitor parking area. As I look at the site plan, the sidewalk would actually have to find a way around the visitor parking area. So at least to the visitor parking area with additional consideration of, potential sidewalks to the north of the visitor parking area. When you look at the site plans, once you get to the visitor parking area, you're pretty close. And my thought is add to that condition. I think you framed it very well, Mr. Burke, and then add to it that that as a second sentence in that condition, if the applicant is able to demonstrate that it is technically infeasible to construct such sidewalks within the bounds of proper DEM permitting, then they can offer that documentation to us as a relief to the condition of approval.
so we'll construct a sidewalk from Main Street to the visitor parking area. Concrete, no curbing, grass strip, or demonstrate that it is infeasible, not feasible, to construct said sidewalk. And we will, and then at final plan approval, there will be relief from said condition.
That sounds good to me.
And therefore, I will include the planning director's report in my motion, and I make a motion to approve the comprehensive permit application
And allow it to proceed administratively.
and allow a final plan to proceed administratively.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mr. Price. All in favor? Aye. Do we have any opposed? None. Applicant passes with the condition.
Thank you. That
Thank
was an
you, Mr.
excellent motion,
Cronin.
Mr. Burke.
I try.
Yep, that's right. That's all we can do. Okay, okay, next. Next item on the agenda. Accessory dwelling unit with associated dimensional variances. Owner applicant Gregory Gormley, assessors plat 323 lot 120 in the RR3 zone at 33 Bryan Hollow Road. Good evening.
Good evening. Greg Gormley, owner of 33 Bryan Hollow Road.
Spencer McComb, architect for the project.
Gregory Gormley.
Spencer McComb, architect.
You're the architect, did you say? I didn't hear what you said. Architect. Okay, thank you. Okay, do you want to tell us a little bit about your application? How, I mean,
Sure. Sorry.
She wants to speak into the microphone.
So we're here tonight just to look at this 3-car garage barn building. It's set into a hill, which is near the side setback. Staff's been really great helping us navigate some of the new zoning rules that we weren't even aware of that help this application have less relief than we thought we'd need. On the second floor of this structure, we're planning on putting a 1-bedroom ADU that does meet the size restriction along with an office for the applicant. But in just to be as careful as we could, staff determined that probably better just to ask for a 2-bedroom on that same footprint. But our intention is to go and build it as the plans do show, which is a 1-bedroom ADU with an office. Obviously, that could change over time, and we would have the approval to allow that if that second room became a bedroom. I think that's the view of staff here, just to kind of protect us no matter what happens over time there. But that's our plan going forward. So it's a 3-car garage. And then just the dynamics and dimensions of it do drive some of the requested relief. It's in the front yard, which is one of the biggest asks.
And this is a unique property. It's undersized and it also falls off dramatically in the back to the water. It would be really hard to put any structure back there with the way it's sort of situated at the moment. And it makes more sense to have it up at the level side of the house. We've tried to design the architecture so it feels like it complements the existing home. Again, it's built into a side berm. So really from 3 of the sides, it'll be really built into the hill, only showing 1 or even a half story from the backside. I think that kind of covers it. Staff was really great to work with, helped us tremendously throughout this, and we appreciate their comments and their conclusion throughout the application.
Any members of the commission have any questions for the applicant regarding the matter that's before us?
I do.
Yes, Mr. Kenny.
Is it on a septic or sewer?
Septic.
Septic.
Yep.
If you were to make that a 2-bedroom, does that affect septic?
It does.
It does?
Yeah. We want it to be, and we'll be using it as a 1-bedroom.
Okay. Personal experience, the way it looks like it's set up, with the closed door and windows. It looks like a bedroom, even though there's no closet, so you might have an issue with the town engineer on that. Just to let you know from personal experience in rebuilding my own house. Okay, so.
Yeah, and we'd like to talk to him and try to appease him.
That's all. Comment.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Mr. Price.
So I see you do have, are these existing plantings you're putting on the driveway side and the front of the property? Or are those existing plants?
They're not existing. We've done some driveway moves to accommodate this new structure, including like a turnaround, a large turnaround there. And so all the plantings that were there were removed, and we've worked with staff to kind of mimic the screening on the other side, the neighbor property. And so the landscape plan you have in front of you is to mimic what the neighbor has done and reduce the impact of this new structure and even the main structure on the street.
Anyone else on the board have a question, follow up, anything? This is a public hearing too, though, right?
It is, yeah. You certainly, within your right to ask immediate questions of the applicant.
Yeah, I just haven't decided whether or not I wanted to wait. I didn't want to,
You certainly can
I
take the.
had a
comments and then
couple
get
of
into
questions.
it.
What do you plan to use for on-site wastewater treatment? Are you going to try to tie into the existing septic system
Yes.
because you have capacity?
Yeah, it does have capacity.
So that's a 4-bed.
Yes.
That was approved earlier and you have 3 beds in the house, or it was a 4-bed and then they changed the limits and,
No, there's 3 in the house
yeah,
and the one for the AD would make 4. It's a 4-bedroom design system.
you had it designed already for 4. And, no problem getting the, connecting to that. I see it was, pretty far to the back. The application, and I understand the hardship that's created by the unique size of the lot and the topography, with regard to putting the dwelling or the building in the front of the property, but what was the issue with the overall? Because there's actually 3 things. I think we've got the maximum size of the garage, if I saw it in here, was technically not to exceed, was it 1,200 square feet? And then the unit. Oh, the unit
Actually,
itself.
I'd say both. We have code that does tell us that a garage should not be bigger than 1,200. And we have code that tells us ADU, depending on the number of bedrooms. And in this case, they're seeking a 1-bedroom. So we are considering it a 1-bedroom from a zoning approval perspective that needs to have at least 900. I believe the ADU is at 12 and change, and the garage was at 14 and change. So in both respects, they need relief for the size of those 2 elements of this structure.
Right, because we've got the issue where the office is on the second floor and it's not technically a bedroom, but it's part of the unit when the stairs go up. But then the other was it's 4.5 feet from the property line. There was no way to shift that structure to get it so that it met the minimum distance from the property line.
We could, we're really close and we're trying to keep it as far back so it doesn't crowd the front of the house. And so we're just trying to give it the distance it was needed. We cited it actually before we kind of went back and forth with what the side setbacks would be because of the undersized lot. Staff helped us to get it so it's almost compliant. So I think we'd be willing to shift it forward. We'd like to just get it approved as it's submitted.
All right, well,
Since we're in front of
we'll take the public comment, but my first look at the plan anyway, when I saw that and only because quite candidly, the first dwelling I ever bought was a condominium, a 1-bedroom condominium. Everybody had a study in the front with a little cutout as you do where the stairs come up. And everybody in there, the builder even offered to frame a closet out of that to make the second bedroom. And I want to say out of the 12 units, 9 of them probably ended up being 2-bed units. So it does get a little tricky. So is the application that's before us for relief on the ADU because it exceeds 900 square feet? You just included that out of an abundance of caution because we're viewing that entire second floor to be part of the ADU. Is that
That's
it?
correct. So in an abundance of caution, staff encouraged or suggested that this applicant who's seeking a 1-bedroom ADU, they made the claim that perhaps the additional entryway and office may not be considered part of the ADU. We suggested, no, we're going to consider that floor area part of the ADU. To our perspective, we think it's wise to treat the whole second floor as the ADU. It's all connected, it all interrelates to each other. We do understand that means they need greater relief, so that because it's a 1-bedroom, they need.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, that wasn't where we had the biggest issue, was assuming that the office area or the study needed part of the relief. I mean, the applicant is aware what we're approving is a 1-bedroom ADU. What they have through DEM approval through septic is a 1-bedroom ADU. So I think they're aware of the limitations that they have. That
But
is.
it made more sense for them to just ask for the relief now for the 1,200 versus the 900 and.
I think what they're seeking is, since they want to keep it a 1-bedroom, it means that their limitation is no more than 900. And staff is suggesting we're going to consider the entire second floor part of the ADU. And so they need relief. That difference in 900 to 1,200 and change, we did not find that to be an item we were particularly concerned with. I certainly understand what the board is suggesting, which is we're not worried about the size, we're worried about the usage and the conversion. But that's something the applicant's aware. I mean, that's what they're achieving, a 1-bedroom ADU by code, by permit. And they have to understand the limitations of that from the town's permitting perspective.
Okay.
That's my guidance to the board on the sizing issue.
So the application is for relief on the sideline, having it in the front yard, the size of the ADU, and the overall size of the garage.
That's correct.
Correct. 4 things. Okay. All right. That's all. Does anyone have any questions? Because I'll take a motion then to open public hearing in case there's someone here in the audience that has a concern or an abutter.
I'll make a motion to open public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Reyes, second by Mr. Price. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Okay. If you guys wouldn't mind, you guys just have a seat. If somebody brings up a concern, you'll have an opportunity to address it. Do I have anyone in the audience or on Zoom that would wish to speak for or against this application? Any of the abutters? Anyone here? Yes, sir. Just come up and put your name and address into the microphone, please.
Hello. I live at 61 Bryan Hollow Road, right down the street from what Craig is trying to do. And Ralph Accinno, Accinno. Welcome. He's been a wonderful neighbor, and everything that he does is first class, so we're more than welcome it.
Had it?
That's it. Yep.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Anyone on Zoom, Cody? Okay. I don't think there's anything the owner applicant is going to respond to. So with that, I'll take a motion to close public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
I'll second it.
By Mr. Kenny, second by Mr. Reyes. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Anyone that would like to make a motion on this matter?
Okay, I move that the planning commission approve the unified development. Sorry. I move that the planning commission approve the unified development review application known as the Gormley Garage / ADU located at 33 Bryan Hollow Road, Assessor's Plat 323, Lot 120, located in the RR3 zoning district. This approval includes authorization for a one-bedroom accessory dwelling unit totaling 1,288 square feet above a proposed three-bay garage, together with the requested dimensional variances for front yard placement, reduced side setback, and excess floor area for the unit itself, as well as the garage. As shown on the revised plans dated December 9th, 2025. In making this motion, I move to adopt the findings of fact for dimensional variances under Rhode Island General Law 45-24-41 and the recommendations set forth in the Planning Staff Report and Technical Review Committee Report dated December 11th, 2025, and that finds that the proposal is consistent with the Coventry zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan. Approval is granted subject to the conditions of approval contained in the staff report, which is incorporated into my motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Through the chair, I think the solicitor had a quick comment.
Sir.
It's a good question. I want to make sure that I'm in tune with the planner. Because it's unified development, my understanding is the zoning relief needs to be voted first, but does this have any planning approval aspect to it?
So that's an interesting question. From a procedural standpoint, the few that we've done already, and this is new, it's state law allows that ADUs that need a variance can come to this board, and our local code has designated this. At the other meetings, we took a vote as a separate matter after the variance to allow the matter to proceed to the building permit stage, because this essentially is our two votes. And then it's clear that there's no additional phase through planning. It's the variance is granted and then they're off to building permit. So we have a separate motion to consider after the variance motion.
So this is the variance motion. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Okay, so getting back to, we have a motion from Mr. Studley and a second from Mr. Reyes. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? Motion carries. Okay, I'll now entertain a motion to allow this development plan or the proposed structure to proceed to the building permit stage.
I move that the same application, again being the Gormley Garage / ADU located at 33 Bryan Hollow Road, be allowed to proceed to the building permit stage of review.
And I have a second motion by Mr. Studley, second by Mr. Reyes to allow this matter to proceed to building permit. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries.
Well,
Okay, next matter. Let's see, this is 7.4, Moo Cow Solar, final plan, major development owners, Naria LLC and Moo Cow LLC. Applicant EDPRNA Distribution Generation LLC for Assessors Plat 304, lots 27.1 and 28 in the RR5 zone. Good evening.
Good evening. Attorney Dana Ardente for the record, for the applicant. This is the Moo Cow Solar Project for AP 304 lots 27.1 and 28. If the board recalls, this is a ground-mounted solar system project, 4.4 megawatt, that received preliminary plan in May of last year. If the board also recalls, we were to come back as a condition, a preliminary plan approval, come back for final, to review the bond setting, and review of that and present our opinion of the, probable decommissioning costs. Our engineer, Aaron Ting, is going to present that to you after I'm done here. I just wanted to touch on real quick, the lots originally were going to be merged, after working with planning staff. We decided it prudent probably to not merge the lots, so those are going to remain separate lots. Other than that, I'll let Aaron do his spiel on the decommissioning cost.
Good evening, Aaron Ting, professional engineer, TRC, East Providence, Rhode Island. As Dane was mentioning, here to present the decommissioning plan and opinion of probable decommissioning cost that was initially provided as part of preliminary plan approval, reviewed by the town engineer, who subsequently had additional comments that were conditioned by the staff that we address as part of final plan approval. We have submitted to planning and the town engineer the revised comments and a memo addressing those comments, along with a revised cost estimate that was attached to the memo. And the memo, along with the cost estimate, now includes, at the town engineer's request, costs for disposal of certain components of the solar facility, should it become necessary that in the unlikely event that the applicant, the solar facility becomes defunct and the town then needs to decommission it on their own, which is the point of the bond and surety that's being presented there. We have estimated under the surety bond $1.208 million as the estimate that we're recommending be set for the bond and surety.
And the town's okay with that?
Yes, that number has been reviewed by the town engineer. We find it acceptable. I'll just note that one of the reasons why this is coming back to you for final plan is that there's, when this was last in front of us at prelim, the concept was that the board should be advised of the amount that we're setting. And we're comfortable with that amount. That's really, the plan itself has already reached substantive approval. There haven't been changes otherwise. So really, that's the main focus of this group. I would note, I'm looking at our staff conditions of approval. I think that number that the engineer just referenced, it is called out in our report, 1.2, it's actually 1,208,000. I think we should memorialize that number in condition of approval number 2. That way that number is memorialized in the singular decision on the project.
So tonight, we're here to consider final approval, including everything that's outlined in the staff report and inclusive of item number 2 being $2.08 million.
Correct.
Okay. And could you just merely expand, what was the reason that the lots, it was prudent not to merge the lots? Not that it's a big deal, I just was curious.
It had a lot to do with the ownership structure. They're actually owned by a same entity, but to change the ownership structure, I think created different non-land use based challenges. We did not see an issue with that concept of leaving them unmerged.
And again, I got to look back at the site plan, but is there any possibility then that, let's say, the lot in front, no, I guess this extends to even the lot on front. So there's really no potential for a separate development other than this on both lots unless it's.
No, I mean, well, any given parcel, someone could try to bring another proposal, whether they were merged or not. Someone could say, hey, can we do some houses in the front? That would be a fully separate proposal. They'd have to come back in front of us for process. I don't believe that that's the applicant's intent.
Yep.
So I know that the desire to leave the 2 lots separate has nothing to do with planning additional development.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions for either the attorney or the engineer? Seeing none,
I have one additional.
Yes, sir.
I just have one additional item too, unrelated to the actual bond setting, but condition 4 outlined in the staff report had indicated that the applicant was not to record final plan until the town council approved the perpetual care agreement for the 2 cemeteries located on the property, as well as the easement agreement. I've been in discussions with planning staff over this. We've presented the actual agreements to the planning staff. It just has to be reviewed by the town council. We would request amending that condition to reflect allowing the applicant to record final prior to the town council approving those items, and instead requiring that the applicant get those items approved by the town council within 160 days of pulling a building permit on it.
Doug, do you foresee any issues with? the
No,
council
he did bring this concept up to me after the staff report was drafted. I have no concerns with that. This would require an amendment to condition of approval number 4. So that the first sentence currently reads, the applicant shall provide draft easement documents for access to the historic cemeteries prior to recording. And then instead of prior to recording final plan, it should say within 160 days of the building permit. Would you say pulling or initiating the building permit application?
I would prefer that it would be by the time the applicant has building permit in hand,
Okay.
just in the
Yeah,
sense.
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
By the time the applicant has a
So
building
provide
permit. in
draft
hand.
easement documents prior to recording the final plan. So you did provide the draft easement documents already.
Correct.
The applicant shall mark the corner, no, wait. Where does it talk about recording? Which item is this? I got another.
Item 4. Yeah, first line.
I have it on my phone.
Oh, prior to recording final plan. So you want to amend that to?
Actually, and I think what they're seeking is it's the last sentence where I think that we should, so we do have draft easement documents, and then the site shall be approved by the Coventry Town Council, easement and perpetual care of the site. I think they're seeking that the town council approval for easement and perpetual care shall be achieved within 160 days of the building permit
So you
being
just say
received.
into
Is
the
that fair,
sentence?
Dane?
Yeah.
You
Okay.
just want to add to the sentence so it says within 100 and how many days?
Yeah, it's so the last sentence reads assessment and perpetual care of the site shall be approved by the town council, and then
Within-
we're going to add on to that within 160 days of building permit being received. Does the applicant think that language sounds acceptable?
Yeah, because I'm looking at the first sentence, and I think I just caught on to what you were saying earlier. We've already provided the draft documents.
Yep.
So recording a final plan wouldn't be affected as of right now if we just left that as is. So it would be, so 160 days for building. permit.
I do not have any concerns with that.
Yep. In other words, there's a strong likelihood the council's eventually going to, this is rather routine, just a matter of getting on the agenda. Okay. Okay, we'll entertain a motion on this matter. Good?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a favorable motion. Project name Moo Cow Solar, major land development, new phases final plan. NAR YA LLC lot 27.1 and Moo Cow LLC lot 28. Owner EDPR NA Distribution Generation LLC, address 2445 Victory Highway. Assessors plot 304, lots 27.1 and 28, zone RR5. Lot size 109 acres, existing use single-family residence, proposed use major solar installation. The applicant proposes to construct a 4.4 megawatt direct current DC ground-mounted solar array on approximately 9.4 acres of the subject parcel. See, there are a couple of changes here. 3D plans, finishing. Conditions of approval. Item number 2, the applicant will provide the bond surety prior to the recording of the final plan in the amount of $1.208 million. And conditional approval number 4, the applicant should provide final draft easement documents to access the historical cemeteries prior to recording the final plan. During construction, the applicant shall mark the corners of both cemeteries with granite bounds and place the cemeteries in perpetual care with the cemetery fund of the town of Coventry. Assessment with the perpetual care, the site shall be approved by the town council within 160 days of issuance of the building permit. I would like to include,
And if you don't mind, I'm going to add the language or other permitting agencies as necessary. We need to spend a little time looking at that town council role because that might be a little outdated language. I know it's in there for a reason, but to be honest, I want to include the language or other permitting authorities to ensure that we're not sending this applicant to the council for something the council would ordinarily not provide. I think this language, it's possible this language is referencing a more outdated mode of how we did those, but I don't have that information at hand right now.
include the planning director's comments in my report. And I'd also like to include the staff report as written in my motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? We have a second from Mr. Burke. So we have a motion by Mr. Kenny, a second by Mr. Burke. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have none opposed. Matter passes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Heather, you're all set, right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everybody.
Okay. If no one needs a break, I'm just gonna keep going. We go. Heather, step out as you need. Merry Christmas. Okay. Next item on the agenda. Yep. Happy New Year. Early Christmas present. Okay, next item on the agenda, 395 Naughty Oak Road, rehab and extension, minor land development use variance.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to recuse myself from this application.
Yes, sir. Let the record show Mr. Studley is recusing himself from this application. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's Lou Baldy. I have offices at 445 Budlong Road in Cranston. Before you was an application for a total rehab of the property at 395 Naughty Oak Road. It's also a use variance for an extension to the building. To give you some background, the building by 4 or 5 years ago had one third of the building had burnt, which was 2,500 square feet. So my client intends to rehab the whole building and then add to it 1,100 square feet to the side, excuse me, and to the front. Along with cleaning the entire property with the vehicles and ensuring the fact that one of the comments from the fire marshal was to have at least a passageway around the building so that emergency vehicles could pass. I don't know if it's up on the board.
At this point, Mr. Baldy, I think we have your older site plan on the board, but I know the members, I think, have recently received a
I've got
new
the-
Class 1 survey site plan.
Yeah, I've got-
So the member, that is a document we don't have on the web at this point, but this is a pre-application, so we all understood that was informal information was acceptable.
Pre-app, no hearing.
This is a
Yeah, I have
pre-app,
I
yeah,
have
this is,
Plan.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have that.
On the plan, if you notice, it shows the existing concrete footing. And what we're adding to the use variance is going to be to the back of the building and to the front to make it symmetrical with the other side of the building where there's a jut out. Along with, if you notice, there's an area of encroachment where the fences are in the back, that'll be removed. There is not going to be any new pavement that's going to be going down. It's going to remain the same. Those are the only comments I think that the technical committee had on the project. So what we're asking for is a variance on the non-conforming use, the extension of the non-conforming use.
Okay, so let's see.
And one of the interesting parts of this is that the area of the building that burnt, the applicant can get a building permit under the classification of a repair. So what we're asking for is the extension is just a small part of the total reconstruction of the 2,500 square feet. We're adding about 1,100 square feet, along with the fact that he's going to vinyl side the building, put a new roof on, and the extension is going to, the roof line, which was another comment that one of the, through technical, is going to be about 4 feet higher than the rest of the building. So he can accommodate taller garage doors. So I think what we're asking for is use variance to expand the non-conforming use. And also, I guess, from what I'm getting, a building permit to go to building permit to get the building permit.
No,
Well,
just the use variance.
Yeah, so this classifies itself as a minor land development. And keep in mind, this applicant is presenting to you a plan in which a good portion of what they wish to build is an old burned down portion of the building. They could go to building permit for those sections of the building by right. So really what we're here and focused on is the little bit of expansion in addition to the burned down section.
Well, okay. All right, so the burnt down section was 2,500 square feet.
Correct.
Correct.
And the new section is 1,100 square feet bigger.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it's a considerable percentage. I just don't want to minimize that.
No,
I'm not
it
saying
is
it's not,
yeah,
given the size of the lot and totality of the project, it's not. And when you take the total size of the 2,500 that was there, I don't remember, what was the original footprint of the entire building? Was it the 5,200 some odd square feet? So we're looking at less than 20%. My question was, when I reviewed this, and I don't know where this page 3 scope of development came, the applicant seeks approval to reconstruct a 3,000 square foot portion of the building that was totally destroyed by fire.
Oh.
And then there was, this thing attached. So throw that out. Everything that Mr. Baldy just presented with this application, and I think is in the rest of the report, is to add the 1,100 square feet that was not part of the burnt out piece.
Correct.
And then to make clear, the applicant's initial documentation to us actually might have assumed that the burnt down part of the building was 3,000. I know there was some information that we had that suggested 3,000. The applicant then midstream of our drafting of reports suggested actually the number is more accurately 2,500 of the burnt down part.
Correct.
So some of those numbers have shifted.
Okay.
That is the accurate number. And you are correct that of the entire area, the applicant wishes to build about 2/3 of which, or a little more than 2/3 of which is the repair. And then about 1/3 of which, or a little less than that, is a new build. And because of the new build, we classify that as a minor land development. And so that's why it triggers unified. There, it's in front of you because it's both an expansion of commercial square footage, and that's that area that isn't a repair. And then the use variance goes along with the minor land development. That would have, in the future, up to 2 more stages in front of you. This is a pre-app. So the applicant was advised that for this scale of a use variance, it was not a bad idea to do a pre-app in which the neighborhood received notice. So if neighbors are concerned with the expansion of this commercial operation, they've received notice and they have an opportunity to speak. That's why I think it's being done as a pre-app so we can understand if there's any concerns that exist. I would just note that although this does constitute an expansion of a non-conforming use, the site has been used in this way. I particularly was compelled by the applicant's desire to clean up the site, in which if there are concerned abutters with the expansion of this use, the expansion of the use combined with cleaning of the site is a good consideration for whether a use variance is warranted in this case.
I just want to get some clarification, it's, and I appreciate everything you just said. The existing building that is there, not the burnt out portion, is 5,238 square feet. Is that's what's shown on the plan? I don't know.
You probably would know better if you're looking at that plan right now.
Says
And my
commercial
staff is saying, yes, that's correct. That number is correct.
And then if you add the 2,500, that becomes 7,738. And 1,100 divided by,
100 by 50, so 5,000.
yep. So we're increasing the overall size of the footprint of the original building by less than 15%. And there are no, it's just that it's non-conforming and it's an expansion, right? All the sideline setbacks and everything else are acceptable?
There were no dimensional variances associated with this ask. It's just the nature,
Building
the
footprint and the non-conforming.
yeah, essentially the
non-conforming
nature
use.
of expanding beyond the burnt area that portion of the building is subject to the minor land development and then the use variance.
Plus, but that expansion, if you look dimensionally, still conforms.
Yep.
The building dimensional, I didn't really want to get into dimensional things, but dimensionally, the building doesn't conform, but even with our expansion, it conforms to the dimensions. If it's noted on the plan.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I knew what the ask was. And the ask is to expand the building original footprint by 1,100 square feet.
That
And
is
it's
correct.
a non-conforming use. And
Correct.
it's just a pre-app, so there's no vote tonight. This is
No
just,
vote,
does anyone
although
have any
I
concerns?
think it's
before they come
it's absolutely a good idea we sent a notice to abutters purposely
to
so
this?
that the applicant could understand before they took any further detailed engineering studies or reports if any concerns existed and how those concerns might be addressed.
So the notice was issued for tonight's meeting and
Yeah, and we're not holding it as a hearing, but I think courtesy public comments is
Got
a
it.
wise idea tonight.
got it,
So
appreciate that.
when do we get a vote?
Before,
You don't get a vote tonight. It's a pre-application. The
Okay.
stage doesn't have a vote. Assuming you feel good about how the stage goes, you could come back to us at preliminary plan. Essentially, you're starting to work on those documents now. You'd come back and you'd be back in front of this board for preliminary plan for a vote. The timing of that depends on when you submit a preliminary plan application. That would have a bit of stormwater engineering because you're doing a bit of expansion on the site. So we'd be looking for probably some nominal stormwater calcs,
Okay, so
Oh,
then a new plan.
a new plan.
Okay.
Yep.
since you wore your suit the first night, you got to wear it for the rest of the meetings too.
I'm gonna have my client buy me a new suit. Thank you very much.
Okay, yep. Let me just see if we have any questions from the board on this? No, okay. And there was notice issued, so if there is anyone in the audience that wishes to come up and speak or make any comments on this application, feel free. Do I see any hands? Anybody interested in coming up and speaking on this matter? I don't see any. Anybody on Zoom, Cody? Any hands? Nope. Okay, let the record show there was none on Zoom. So that said, I guess we're all set. Thank you. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
The staff recommendation on this was without a vote is essentially to suggest the applicant move towards the next stage of review, which is a more detailed stage. They'd owe us some investment in the engineering documents. And it's good for us to know as we move down this path that there does not seem to be any strong opposition to the project at this point in time.
So noted. Okay, next on the agenda. Yes, sir. Oh, he's coming. I push a button, he comes right out. I don't want anyone to think he was listening. Okay, next on the agenda, Mapledale Warehouse Edition. John and Maria Maderas, pre-application again, same as this one, 28 Mapledale. You're back again twice in one night.
Back, yeah. John Maderas, of 28 Mapledale.
Okay. All right, you want to just give us a little overview? This is pre-application. So just like the last one, you're just looking for feedback from the board and from the planning department and did they get notice as well?
Yes, in fact,
Okay.
this one's going to follow a similar path as the last. It's a expansion of a existing commercial operation. The expansion triggers a use variance. This one does find itself in a residential zone. Similar prudent path before this applicant goes forward with detailed design documents. This is an opportunity to see if any opposition exists amongst the abutters and maybe see how that could be addressed.
Yep. And again, the only issue is the size of the building, no dimensional variances, or are there?
Actually, this one does require dimensional variances, so yeah,
There
you'll.
were so many tonight, I just.
No,
didn't have-
no, understood.
figured
No,
it
this one, it is a use and dimensional variance, so you would be rendering different dimension, or different variance decisions eventually, not tonight.
Yep, okay. Floor is yours. If you want to just give us a little overview of what you're doing.
Yeah, so there's an existing garage bays, essentially. It's been there for 50+ years. And the application in front of you is to expand that by 2 more bays. This is for John's own company, so his own private use. So expanding the building in that direction by 60 feet, 40 feet deep, slightly deeper than the existing bays. And then there's a sort of a strange existing shaped a wood frame addition that's on the side. We'd like to make that a second floor and just put a flat roof on it. The current roof is awkward architecturally and also having some trouble with water infiltration at that. So kind of taking another swing at that on the existing footprint that's on the east side, and then basically mimicking the garage bays on the other side. This is mostly a gravel lot, so it's not defined parking currently. So the addition will be new impervious, so we'll have to deal with the runoff for that. We're maintaining the rear setback that's established by the existing building. That's clearly in the setback, so that's the request that we'll be asking for eventually, but we'd like to get your thoughts on expanding this. There's been some talk of screening along Driftway. And I think even the town's up for that screening, even going onto the public way, so that we can make it fit in there if that's something that you'd be interested in. The debate that the staff threw out was stockade fence versus some plantings, and we're open to either, or none, if you think that's better. But we do plan on using it basically as it is today, which is maintain the gravel drive around. So don't add pervious asphalt in the front, at least on this application. And then we'll handle the runoff from the new impervious.
And this is construction, right? Construction business?
Yes.
Trucks. And this, and just so I'm clear, or just for everyone's edification, this is the front of the building, the back of the building's on the bike path.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's no openings on that side.
The only question I have, I highlighted it here, you made mention of it, with screening, fence, buffer, arborvitae's, whatever it may be. Can we just point out where that would be on the site plan?
Sure.
Specifically?
So if you see where Driftway is,
Yes.
it would be along that path, along that road there. So that's the eastern edge of the property.
Yeah, when we identified the interest in some screening, obviously a not pre-existing non-conforming commercial use in a residential zone, they're allowed to continue doing what they're doing. They wish to expand. We wish to ensure there's protections from the neighbors for maybe noise or aesthetic purposes. The odd thing is the constraint is that right at their property line, there's a retaining wall. And there's a little grassy strip that's on the top of the retaining wall, but it's technically in the town's right of way. This was discussed at TRC, and really we wanted to make sure that no TRC member, particularly the DPW director, had an issue with the concept of potential tree plantings in a grassy strip in the town right of way. No concerns existed so long as the types of trees that were used would not create any uprooting of the paved right-of-way. Where you see that Mapledale on the site plan kind of takes a turn and a corner, that's essentially the applicant's entry path into their subject property. So Driftway is really where you get that opportunity to screen. There is a residential property just on the opposite side of Driftway. So this is, again, an opportunity for a use variance, but with an opportunity to perhaps improve the conditions on the site from a butter's perspective. So again, this one was sent notice, so I think it's wise to take courtesy public comment. I would note we don't seem to have a large crowd, but you never know if someone still wishes to comment. And we thought that hearing from abutters and then hearing about the potential mitigations would be useful at this stage before the applicant engages in any detailed engineering.
Okay, so you got residential across the Driftway that are also on Mapledale, and then this Driftway crosses the bike path. And what's back? Is that the kennel? Is that dog training school?
You would know better than me. The board members would know.
Yes. Yep. Okay, and that's the DOT infamous Anthony facility that's on the other side of you. Okay.
The interesting thing about this property is it doesn't really have that many actual neighbors because of the roads and the bike path. It's kind of a unique situation here. Obviously, it's in a residential, but it has been for years.
I've been down that stretch of the bike path many times. Okay. So we did send notices out. So if you might appreciate any feedback, we'll see what the neighbors have to say because you can incorporate that into any application you make in the future. Is there anyone here to speak for or against or have a comment on this proposal at 28 Mapledale Street in the audience? Anybody here? Anybody on Zoom, Cody? No? Looks like no comments at this point. Okay, thanks for coming. We'll see you next time.
Do we just ask for, we're going to be coming back with our final application.
Actually, the next stage is called preliminary plan. You'll be back in front of this board. Final is a stage after that. That's the staff level stage. But the next stage basically is where you need all your engineering. You're back in front of this board. There'd be a hearing at that stage.
So I guess we can do plantings or a fence, and I don't know if there's any
Good to get that
direction there.
feedback actually from the board.
So we can come back with whatever you'd like. I don't think we want to do both of them. There's not really that much.
There's ample space for plantings. You don't mind that? I know
Yeah,
they're going on the town
arborvitaes
property,
are
but they'll
pretty
keep.
narrow.
Yeah.
And can be trimmed such.
Yeah. Do we have to worry about salt treatment on the road out there or deer or anything like that? That's the only thing.
I'm not sure about deer, but I mean, they're no more susceptible than any other town, any other part of town for deer, I would assume. I think the town staff is open to either one. I think trees give you higher screening. The stockade fence is obviously a little more concrete. If the board has, their own wishes on it, I think this is just an opportunity to increase some screening one way or the other. And I think it's good to know that there didn't seem to be abutters that came out that might have opposition or a preference. I think we'd be interested in hearing that. And without that, I do think screening is wise. The treatment, if you have direction, you could give it. If not, the applicant could always come back and propose something and we react to it.
And thank you for coming back up and bringing that up because I appreciate that. I forgot. So anybody have any preference? Landscape, fence?
I prefer trees or arborvitaes over a stockade fence, as long as they're not going to uproot the street.
Yep.
I agree.
Okay, landscape.
So,
we do?
And we can present it when we come back up, but in my opinion, when we put small arborvitaes too close together, in a few years turns into this.
We'll let you now investigate what you think the best type of landscaping is to screen the property and for the town's benefit and the maintenance and discuss that. I think all we needed to do is say, would you rather have a solid fence or
I just wanted
landscaping?
to add
If you
that.
come back with something completely different than arborvitae's, but it still achieves the same thing, I think we'll be good with it. But I just understood, you said there's a hand up?
Yeah, you're right. There does
Someone
look
have a
to
hand
be
up on Zoom
raised
to speak
hand
in this
Zoom.
matter? Could we just see?
Yeah,
Cody?
let's
Just
still
make
allow
sure it
that
wasn't-
public comment.
Mr.
Hi,
Girardi?
Yes, speaking. I think it was actually just covered. I was leaning towards the trees over a fence, just based on the spacing over there.
Thank you, Mr. Girardi. Do you happen to live across the street on Drift?
I'm the owner of 17-21 Mapledale Street, but I know my tenants use the bike path and I used it when I was there as well. And I think the screening would be great.
Okay.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Okay, there it is.
Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, we got that one right for a change. Okay, next item. So to make sure I got it here. Summit Commercial Condos, Major Land Development, Pre-Application, Villiers Restoration, 28 Summit Road LLC.
Hello,
Oh, Mr. Cronin.
Thomas Cronin,
Yeah.
Nolan Brando, Cronin Farr, 1070 Main Street, Coventry, Rhode Island.
Another pre-app.
I mean, does anyone love a pre-app more than me? I just love a pre-app. Okay, like a little discussion, right? 28 Old Summit Road LLC is the applicant, AP 316, lot 27, zoned VRC. I got 2 village zones tonight. Crazy in the whole town. Currently 6 acres of vacant land on Route 117, just west of Route 102. It's on the south side of Route 117. It's mostly residential in the neighborhood. Old Summit Road is to the west, Summit Road to the south. This is an area that's just north of the parking lot of the former Summit General Store. So you have Summit General Store, that little dirt parking lot across the street. This is just north of that towards 117. So as far as physical features go, besides the highways, there's a stream that runs through the property, pretty much through the middle of the property. And that's the primary physical feature out there. Otherwise, it's just kind of a grassed field, but it has a stream running right through the middle. So our proposal is to construct 2 commercial condo buildings on the northwest corner of the property, basically toward 117 and Old Summit Road. One building is 12,000 square feet. It'll have 12 bays, and the other is 6,250 square feet, and it'll have 5 bays. The larger of the 2 buildings is closer to Route 117. Parking and driveway access are from Route 117 Flat River Road. You'll note on the plan, drainage is planned on the east side of the building. The OWTS is on the northwest corner, towards the corner of Flat River Road and Old Summit Road. We're going to use an existing well that's in the center of the lot. We've proposed a pretty significant landscape buffer along Old Summit Road between the buildings and the residential properties on the other side of that street. The proposed use of the garage for commercial storage of vehicles is permitted in the VRC zone, so no questions with that. We're not really requesting any setback relief, dimensional variances. The building, we were asked at TRC what color the building would be. It's proposed to be dark gray. It's going to be about 23 feet at the peak. We're proposing 14-foot garage doors. Those garage doors are going to be oriented north and south. So if you look at the plan, the doors on the 5 garages will face into 6 of the doors in the larger building, and the remaining 6 doors will actually face Route 117. So nothing going to the sides. So it's a fairly straightforward plan. That's our proposal. We, of course, welcome any comments.
You said the primary feature was a stream in the middle of the property. I thought you were going to come in and propose a fishing area.
Fishing area? Sure. How about a bridge? If you,
Okay, so this is
Mr.
really just a development plan review. There's no variances being sought. They're allowed by right. It's when it comes before us, we're just, what's,
Yeah, it's allowed by right. I think the applicant in this case just, elected to choose a pre-app. There's not a lot of commercial in the area. So I think it's really just an opportunity to get a little feedback on it. We did not have a ton of technical feedback. The planning department only suggestion was that due to the residential nature of the surrounding area, that the applicant should really be exploring how they can kind of fully screen the property. I know that they've got an OWTS that might make the location of it might make some screening around it challenging. However, there seems to be an initial suggestion that they could shift things a little bit and provide a screen fully around the corner of the property. Other than that, this is really just an opportunity to get some feedback. It is a by right proposal for a by right use, and you know, it does qualify as a major land development. The applicant could, if they wished, seek to combine stages at a future stage. Tom, do you happen to know, are you looking to combine master and prelim?
We are not looking to combine master
Okay,
and prelim.
understood. So I think they just want to work through our process, get feedback one step at a time, and I think this is a chance to see any direction from the board.
We did get this one.
And you
email,
did get a public comment that came in via writing. Yep.
so hopefully everyone got a chance. That had to do with the person's interpretation of the community comprehensive plan. And with emphasis on preservation and enhancement of the visual and traditional historic character of the Summit Village.
Mr. Clooney, I hadn't had the opportunity to see that. Could you just tell me the date of the email, or just so I can?
December 9th,
I'll get-
Tuesday, December 9th.
Yeah, so I
So
get it-
I'm sure we'll
get it
share it.
later.
That's why I
Yeah.
brought it up, because
Yeah.
I want you to be able to read that, and I'm
Sure.
sure you'll work
Yeah.
that into your presentation.
We're happy to
Sure.
share that with
Yeah, I'm
you, Tom.
interested, just so I can identify it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Take approval of it?
Sure. No, I'm not prepared, Tom.
No problem. Yeah. No, that way you can comment at the next time.
Scott Martin did it.
Okay.
And it's worth noting, I mean, the comments are largely focused on the comprehensive plan. And that's a worthwhile document to review. I would note that the proposed use and the structures are allowed by right.
So noted. Anyone in the audience want to speak for or against or have any comments on this application in Summit? Cody, is there anyone on Zoom? We could just check quick. Don't see anyone. Okay, that okay, Mr. Cronin? Happy holidays.
I was hoping for some more fireworks, but that'll do. Happy
We-
New Year.
Yeah, we did that at the earlier one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care, Tom.
Okay, let's see. Next and almost last on the agenda is a recommendation to town council. Ordinance 2025-23, amending chapter 255 zoning article 6, schedule of zoning use regulations pertaining to, well, the applicant is Joseph Bruce, Permature Cooperative, seeking, requesting the town council approve an amendment to the schedule of zoning use regulations to allow cannabis retail as a use in the general business zone and add new supplementary regulations for retail use. Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Awesome. Thank you for sticking around. This is my 8th year working in cannabis and started in the medical field. And what you notice there is the plant is obviously helping a lot of people with ailments. And that's not necessarily what this ordinance is about. It's really about the fact that, over my time, you realize this is really retail. And so when we start looking at Coventry and the potential zones for it, we look at other legislation or the way other towns have looked at this. And some of the conservative approaches will put cannabis in residential areas. And when you look at Coventry, the residential areas, or not residential, I apologize, industrial areas. And the industrial areas in Coventry really end up running up against the residentials more than the GB district does in some ways. And so we feel the GB district is, the best for this type of a use. And the goal is really just to keep it safe for children and keep it away from residences in a way that would, like prohibit the current way they're living their lives. We don't want to, make anything tough on the people who live in Coventry. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
This kind of caught me by surprise. The last thing I recall on cannabis, and it was several years ago, a very conservative town council said, we don't want it in town, we're outlawing it, we don't want anything. And then of course, state legislation changed this, that. What kind of precipitated this coming before us, like a path? Because obviously this must have went to the council and now they're asking us for a recommendation.
Correct. So, and previous to this particular ordinance being submitted, there was a voter referendum. and it did seek approval for Coventry to be a community that would seek to allow this use. We just didn't, we never codified an ordinance in this respect. The applicant is the first applicant that's seeking to codify an ordinance that, you know, is basically following up on what the voters had suggested in broad spec. Now we have details in front of us to say, if we are to allow it, is this the place, the setting, and the provisions to allow it? So yeah, I mean, the staff had taken some time to review this. From my perspective, I think the best way to, this is an early point in the conversation, but the best way to engage in the conversation is to discuss, does this particular ordinance offer a conservative approach in line with what other communities have done? And I do believe after we looked at it and cross-compared this, and I know the applicant themselves took good care to cross-compare this to the other conservative provisions that other communities are adopting in terms of separation distances, in terms of certain allowances of the use. So we do feel that it's certainly a policy decision of this board and a policy decision of the council, but we do think that this is offering a conservative approach to separation distances and other elements.
But as of right now, is this allowed in the industrial zone at all?
No.
Or it's just,
No, this is the
So the
first.
suggestion is we support the ordinance and we support it being put in the general business zone as this is written, as opposed to what other communities are doing, which is sticking it in the industrial zone, thinking that it's more of a manufacturer and.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, the approach to this use can vary greatly depending on the perspective of the community and the decision makers. But it isn't uncommon. It is something you have seen in other communities to put it in industrial zones. There are industrial zones in Coventry, but some of them have closer residential abutters than
Been converted.
Yeah.
Yep.
But truthfully, the use itself presents as a retail use. When you think about, what's the impacts, industrial uses, maybe there's an impact of heavy manufacturing, noise, fumes. I mean, for this use, the biggest impact is it presents itself as a busy retail site. There's going to be trip generation. There's going to be cars coming in and out of the site. And to my review, I think that the general business zone generally finds itself aligned with that. I think the key consideration here is that it's not any site in the general business zone. It's sites that have to meet these separation distances. It has to be far enough away from residential. It has to be far away enough from schools, churches, playgrounds, parks. That's a very standardized approach that many communities have taken. Some of this is in line with the state law as well. But in general, we were seeking to make sure that those separation distances took a conservative posture. And I think that this is doing that. This is a town-wide, I wouldn't say town-wide, this is a general business zone-wide ordinance. So this is opening the opportunity for this type of business to go in any site in which the conditions could be met, in which the separation distances could be met.
And did anyone look to see, because I know like Tioga Avenue, it's kind of just like that strip, like, does this prohibit, like, are there like 3/4 of Tioga Avenue is not going to work because there's residential right behind it?
There's a good portion of Tioga in which this won't work, and there are portions in which it does. I can't give you like a.
No, I guess what I'm trying to say is if we recommended this ordinance, are there in fact areas that are zone general business where with these restrictions, it could go?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
We know that there are we know that there are sites that would fit these dimensional conditions. Some of it should be noted that we've taken a position with the ordinance, or I wouldn't say we've taken a position, but the applicant has offered a approach that I think planning staff does not think is a bad approach, which is identifying what is it that we're buffering from? Is it the building? Is it the property edge? And in this ordinance, we're looking at the area of the site dedicated to the use. You might have certain parcels, they're large parcels, and the applicant is looking to site their use on one side of it with a parking area, lighting dedicated to one side of it. We're not measuring from the property line, and we're not measuring from the structure. We're measuring from the closest areas of the parking area, the lit area, the entryway, or it could be the structure. What's the closest area of the site dedicated to the use? And we measure the separation distance from there. It kind of takes out the idea that a big parcel would naturally sometimes fall out of consideration where only a small part of the parcel is dedicated.
And What about the PUDs, like Center of New England and the one that we just kind of preliminarily approved on the corner of Arnold Road, right? Where they're not general business, they're a separate, isn't that that's not general business?
No, are you at, when you said PD, like a planned development zone?
Yeah, like Center of New England.
That would be business park.
And Business Park.
Okay, yeah, business park. I mean, it's, there's potential. I'd say our business park zone, which is Center of New England, is getting more residential development. I don't think that this is
I'm
particularly.
not suggesting that, I just
Yeah.
wanted to know for the record, it's just the general business.
just- yeah, this is
So
just the
so
general
those are
business
off the
zone.
table. The one we just approved on the corner it's in process on the corner of Arnold Road and New London Turnpike.
Yes.
The hotel. And
No.
plus he's got the apartment, so.
No, the other property you're referring to, this use would not be eligible there, only in the GB zone, and then those parcels in which it meets these separation distances. So we're talking about Tioga and Sandy Bottom.
Anyone else have any questions or comments from the applicant? What's that?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different points I can speak to. Yes, there's a 3% excise tax. I don't know if this is really the form for that, but that gets paid quarterly to the town. It's helped that it's public information. You can look at some of the other towns with dispensaries and the kind of revenue that's been generated. And I think another key consideration to make here is that this is not a cultivation facility. A lot of the questions in these moments are centered around the smell, and everything that the facility will be receiving is retail ready. Most of them are heat sealed at that. So what you end up experiencing is the customer walks in and they say, "Oh, wow, look at that smell," right? But they didn't smell that in the parking lot. Otherwise they wouldn't have said that, right? So it's never really a smell concern around because of how the product is entering the building. So I think that's another thing to think about.
I'm good. So we need to vote to make a.
Yeah, there is a motion to consider, and we do, this actually, the planning board is charged with, making certain findings as part of an advisory recommendation. The findings we make are required by state law for any, zoning ordinance amendment. So I'd ask for you to consider, all of the elements in the staff report, the findings, the motion, and this, just for public interest, this would be assuming whether it's a positive or negative recommendation. This is heading for a town council public hearing on January 13th, and there will be notices in the newspaper, but that would be the next step of this applicant in front of the town council, January 13th.
Okay.
Can I speak quickly to the deadlines for the state application and the town approvals? Just so it's.
You can, but just so you'll know, it looks like it's already on a schedule. The town council can't act until we make a recommendation one way or the other, or no recommendation, but they sent it here, so we're gonna act on it tonight.
Okay.
And that'll get you to the January 13th hearing that Doug just referred to.
Beautiful.
And even if we take no action tonight, since it came here, it's still gonna go for the January 13th hearing.
Gotcha.
But my guess is someone will make a motion either to make a recommendation one way or the other. This doesn't seem like when we make no recommendation, but any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to what the planning director just alluded to. We have the 3-page staff report with the recommendation and the findings that are contained therein. If someone wants to make a motion or a favorable or unfavorable recommendation to the town council with regard to this proposed ordinance.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman. On the matter of ordinance number 2025-23, amending chapter 255 zoning, article 6, schedule of zoning district use regulations, and article 11, supplementary regulations.
11 or 9? 9. Just through the chair, Mike, if you don't mind, it was Article 9 on, and I apologize if there was a typo on that, but just for the record, it is Article 9 of supplementary regulations.
Article 9, supplementary regulations. Taking into account the testimony tonight and the planning department memorandum.
We correct.
There are several findings of fact that are set forth in Rhode Island General Law, Section 45, 24, 52, and Coventry zoning, Section 255-110, with regard to the town's comprehensive plan and purposes of zoning code. I will make a positive recommendation on this ordinance to the town council.
Incorporate the staff director's report into your motions.
Staff director's report in my motion.
Yeah, I have a motion to make a favorable recommendation to the town council on this ordinance, and I have a second from Mr. Price. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. And any opposed? None. The ayes have it. We're all set.
Town council.
You guys.
You're open.
Yeah, we're almost done. I keep forgetting. I throw the thing over there. Let's see, what else we got? Yeah, we got a director's report. And did you want to talk about the scheduling of meetings now going, anything you want to?
We certainly could. And I think for scheduling of meetings, it's known, and we will post on the website. It's known to the board members that we will not be able to, at this point in time, have a hearing tomorrow night. I don't want to get into details of matters of discussion, but I think for purposes of scheduling, we are likely looking at the next meeting of this board on any given matter being January 28th. That seems to be the indication I'm hearing from other parties on availability, and that we'll have that agenda will be posted. And tomorrow, there's a meeting in which we will have an announcement on a continuance, and we may even have additional notice owed after that. Here's what I'd like to suggest is we know that we will not be able to have a substantive hearing tomorrow night as part of the planning commission meeting. It's still unknown, and we're having discussions with members as to whether we'll be able to achieve a quorum of members that can vote to render a continuance to a date certain, or if we won't be able to achieve that quorum. I mean, you know, the good members here, there are people that have even indicated already they have a schedule conflict, just can't make it work. So I'm working with a few members on that, but it's not known at this time. I'll keep you posted. But if we did gather, it would be for the purposes of a 5-minute meeting in order to vote to send it to a date certain and not to have a substantive discussion of that matter. So we'll keep you guys posted. I appreciate all of those that have tried to keep that door open for me. But we do know that we anticipate in the future, the next anticipated meeting will be January 28th of 2026. I'd say, yeah, please. And I respect you guys for holding it open for those of you that are. And yeah, please keep it open. And I anticipate trying to be in touch with you as soon as I possibly can. Again, you know, if it's 5 minutes, I really appreciate your time. If I can relieve you of that, I certainly will let you know ASAP. So you're not driving in even for a 5-minute meeting.
And that's at the high school.
This would be at the high school that we would still meet, assuming that we're capable. Sorry for we're still working with certain members that have delicate nature of their schedules and availability. So I appreciate the flexibility of those members, and I appreciate the flexibility of folks that might be interested in tracking the matters. Correct. The choices are whether we have a 5-minute meeting to vote to continue to a date certain, or we may not have the ability to have a meeting at all, in which we will use that moment and staff will still be at the high school to announce the dates and make sure that folks aren't confused, that it's clear. But we may do it by announcement if we can't assemble a quorum of the board. Yeah, I think without getting into any details, let's just say that through all the parties we're discussing with, early January does not seem like an option. But I think is a good opportunity to make progress between now and January 28th. So, yeah, that would be, like I said, for the clarity of those members here, but for the clarity of anyone that's watching, we don't anticipate a meeting at this point in time. I don't anticipate a meeting between now and January 28th to discuss any substantive matters. And I do not have anything for you tonight on subdivision land development regulations. We do continue to work on it. I'm putting it on there almost as if there's updates along the way, but we don't have anything for you at this moment in time.
Okey dokey. Hearing nothing else, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second and discussion. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.